but this one's a bit of fun. It is good old Stella Maris. Once it loads on in. Yep. And just do our usual shuffling of the organization up to the top, and it is going to be 4v4. So no extra spawn here for anybody, it's just a little 4v4. We have team 1 across the top here, team 2 at the bottom. So let's have a gander at the teams, have an introduction to the players. And first up, for this game, we have on this side, it is GBK 0220. Now he is the lowest rated player in the game. It was open to everybody to join, and you see we've got as low as 300 and as high as 1900. So right all the way from noob to pro, and a couple of Joes thrown in as well. It can be an interesting matchup. But anyhow, this is GBK. He's UEF. He's opening his first land factory. He has some power planned to go around, so he's not too entirely new at the whole eco spawning thing. Beside him, also UEF, it is the weak link. And the question is, will the weak link be the weakest link in the team? Probably not, because he's got a 300 standard beside him. But he's built a first air factory. His commander is on the walk for some reason, actually going for a walk to this island. He wants to grab the reclaim by the look of it. So going to grab the reclaim with his comm. I don't know if he realizes that he has to walk all the way around, because that is a sheer cliff face. Might have been a mistake there. I don't know where he's actually going to disembark. Here is cliff. Is he actually going to have to walk all the way over here to get off his cliff and get onto this island? All the way around there. I'm pretty sure once he realizes that, he's going to change his mind. Anyway, in the middle section for team number 1, it is the highest rated player for them, and it is Treefolk Noob. Treefolk Noob is Cybran. He's got himself a nice orange clay. He's got a first land factory up, getting some pigeons, and then switching into an air factory. Going to want to on the peninsula. He may be the target of a few attacks, and there we go. We can see that the weakest link has realized he can't walk to that island. Shame for that guy. And finally, for team number 1, up in the far corner, it is Matry. He's a fellow caster who also likes to play the game quite a bit, and he's 1600 ready. He's a good player, and he's a good friend of mine. Nice to see him on often. Lots of fun times, but he is working on his air factory already, putting up more pigeons around this land factory. Just get a bit of adjacency just to help out these sessions. Alright, that is team number 1. Let's have a gander at team number 2, and first off, on the opposite side to Matry, it is Thunus Haley. Thunus Haley is Cybran and Cyan, already starting work on his first naval factory. In fact, he started a while ago. Going to be getting some units out really early, because nobody else has. Well, there is a started naval factory there, but it's not anywhere near completion compared to this one, which is about to go up. So early navy there for Mr. Thunus, and they're going to get some units out pronto. Beside Thunus in the middle section, it is Rowan Morse. That's the highest rated player for team number 2. He's facing off, I guess you could say, directly against Treefolk Noob. They are in the middle together, but they're all. I see an early bomb. I'm just going to drop this right down, because we have an early bomber coming from the Treefolk, and I don't want to miss it. Anyway, this is a air factory getting planned for Rowan Morse, and he is Seraphim in yellow. Over here on the sides, we have another Seraphim, just 80% done on in transport. So he wants to go drop some of those islands, in particular probably these ones, because hey, as his opponent found out, you can't actually walk off the cliff. Anyway, he's Seraphim, he's white, and he's popping up some more pigeons, definitely going to need it. And finally, for team number 2, it's Willow's Duality. Now, Willow's Duality, I think, is actually another caster. So we've got another couple of casters in this game. It is Matry and Willow's Duality, 2 more casters that also like to play a lot. And the white player, Lord Zurios, is the lowest rated player for team number 2 at the Aussie rating of 600 compared to that. 92% balanced game, 1250 versus 1275 with the total rankings. And we see here Willow has actually started his first naval factory as well. It's about halfway done. And I feel like now that we have the introductions out of the way, we can go and catch this bomber back to normal speed. And let's see if it can spot something. What's the engineer here? There's an engineer here. They're both right for the picking. Engineer number 1 is going to have a bad time with bombs. Those are going to hurt. And there's not a lot in the air to slow these down. Not a single interceptor. So it's going to get some free kills. Comes over this way, it could knock out some engineers. And although that is a very rushed interceptor on the way, looks like it's deciding to leave the area, because it knows the interceptors will be coming. There we go. There's another move order. Is going to go for that engineer there. Maybe, maybe not, but there's some anti-air on the ground. And interceptor out. Dodge from the engineer gets away, and the bomber goes down. Only gets 2 kills to its name, so unfortunately not efficient enough to be worth it. Righty ho, we have 2 naval factories up for the weak link, and they're starting, one of them starting to produce units. We have a factory over here for the 300 radar player, so he's not doing awful. This factory is getting reclaim as well, and he's already got a T2 mix here. Probably wants to get some more. There's an upgrade going on there with some assistance coming on, but obviously having power issues, judging by the number of units he's putting up, and he will have power issues. Does not quite have enough to run 3 factories, especially an air factory. Plenty of reclaim is going to help keep the energy levels up though. Right, upgrades going down for weakest link. We have upgrades on the way for the battery folk, getting some T2 mixes over there, and all the way over the side, just about completed T2 for Metry. Pops himself out a bomber. Maybe he's going to try and deny this any drops over this way. But having a look at the Navy game, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 naval factories for team number 2 compared to a paltry 4. So it's, and particularly there are already units on the field and going on out for Mr. Thurnis, and he's actually popping a drop, so he's going to claim this island here. He's got some air defense out front from Rowan, and that's going to be able to keep his transport alive. Going to send out a few NGs. We're going to start building and grab the 3 mixes of hydro, probably maybe step down a factory for a bit of defense, and he's definitely going to keep that one alive. Over here we see that the weak link has actually managed to reclaim all of those wrecks. He popped some engineers out of this factory here, and they have gone on and had a grand old time getting some extra mass into the coffers there. Now what happened to the bomber? Well, it's decided to stop. Just going to land and have a just have a wee bit of a think about what it's going to do next. And what I should think about is coming over here and bombing these guys. Here are engineers just begging to have a bomb to the base. Over this way, the first frigate out from the weak link unfortunately has been encountered by submarines, so there's nothing you can do about that. And this could be a poor place for a transport to come down. Interceptors tag on it, and watch the health. Is it going to get these engineers off? I don't think so. Down to the red. And that was, I think, about 5 NGs. 4 engineers. So transport and 4 engineers, basically, well, literally a mass delivery for Thurnis to snag up with the engineers. Grab them, they're there for the taking. Now we have another drop attempt here, and that is from the 300 rated player, GBK, but the engineers get off that one. Transport's going to die anyway, but the engineers are on the ground. We're going to start doing some reclaim for a little bit of extra eco. Up here we can see this bomber's going to sell 4 kills, so he did kill the 2 yellow engines over here. He's managed to pick up another 2 here. There we go, there's the dead corpses. That is kind of irritating from him. Trying to get away, but unfortunately does not. It is taken by interceptor and frigate damage. A transport shot down though, that might have been from Matry. The angle of its pointing suggests it was going southward, but I cannot be certain. Missed it while steering at the T1 bomber. Right, units are on down. Have a frigate down here shooting at the ground because, hey, as we say at this cast, buck the ground. That moves away, and that little anti-air gun is going to survive. Some problems up this way. Got a handful of T1 naval units, and they can cause quite a hassle up here because there's not much around to stop them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factories now down for Thurnis Haley, and they are up and running. T2 is actually almost done on this factory. It's 85% done, so Haley has rushed T2 Navy all while building units, so that's an impressive amount of effort on there, and doing it all on 1 T2 mix. They're looking to just be annoying, I feel. Just wants to get some power out on in the water, just so they can hold and cause some delays and get up some eco up. So submarines have been surfaced, so they can use their piddly wee dick guns to shoot at things on the ground because they can. And just take a look, it's 10 damage a pop. Really going to take a long time to kill things off, and if they can get caught above the water while there's frigates around, they'll have a terribly bad time. Fortunately, the frigates, for the submarines anyway, the frigates were focused on the other frigates first, and that has given them a chance to go back under the water. And this is now a sizable force. We have 10 naval units here versus 2. There are a bunch of factories out, but it's not factories he needs. Oh, I guess it is factories he needs, because he wants to try and get that production going. Wants to try and get into the naval game. Is he stalling on power? Because I thought his must have been stalling on power because his income was a lot lower than that just a moment ago. But that's all right. Up here on the right hand side, how's the Navy looking? Pretty even. We've got 5 units here. We've got 7 units there. So although I've got some reinforcements coming, yeah we do. So fairly even on the right, although that is the direction Tree is going. So Tree of Noob is going to help in the right hand pond rather than the left. I guess he's thinking that there's 2 people in the left hand pond. It should be okay. It should survive. The problem is, the big problem is the number sheer volume of units. That is about 12 there from Haley facing up against 4. There is a torpedo defense back here, but that doesn't tend to last very long when there are frigates involved. A few bombs come out and drop the bombs down. They do a decent amount of damage to a frigate there, but they then get absolutely smashed out because there's just so many frigates doing that kind of work. There's a problem. We're going to need to see a T2 shift somewhere as well, because it won't be long before the first destroyer is out. This is 80% done, so taking his time. Definitely running on a slightly... Eco's not bad because he owns this island, and this island. Plenty of mixes done. Plenty of free focus is rude again because these are attack missiles, and that is really irritating from Rowan Morse. That's... oh, there's one zapper back here. A zapper back here that has proved to be invaluable. Obviously got spammed off right away because I'm guessing that one got destroyed. Yes, it was. It was T2, now it's T1. There's the impact from the attack missile which destroyed it. So yeah, extra zappers put up to slow those missiles down, and Revoke will be a little bit happier. Matry has pushed right on up into his opponent's base. A whole bunch of frigates here, they're going to have some fun. If they take down this T2 HQ, that's going to be a terrible time for Willow, because that's a lot, and I mean a lot of eco put into this to get it up and running. He is desperately trying to repair it with his commander and engineers. All the while these units here are taking down the frigates, so the DPS is going down, but that HQ is dying. And there's assistance on putting out a sub. Is that a T? No, it's just a T1 sub. So a little bit of extra damage there, but I don't think this factory is going to survive. Down under 2,000. More frigates turn up, and that is going to be the end of that HQ. That is a problem for Willow. So much eco lost. And is that a cue for Matry to stop building units? No, he's still focused on, but he has T2 shift of his own. Right, most factory is moving on up in the other side of the pond. However, this is Haley just absolutely romping. Massive naval force there. Even got some engineers up in the mix, and they can start reclaiming. They've been doing some boost harassment because there's a destroyer. That's going to be a problem. Salem is wandering around being extra irritating, and just going to put some pressure over the side, which has caused Matry to fall back because they realize they cannot contend with this amount of navy. So Haley is very strong in the water for Team 2, and it's going to keep them going on that front. There is a torpedo bomber. It is going to drop its payload and probably die. Trying to do some damage to that destroyer, but it flew through a swarm of binties before it got close to these. And of course frigates have their own decent anti-air as well. Some huge numbers that will take things out quite quickly. Right, destroyer now having to go at this T2 shield gen, and a T2 RD or Tree Folk has gone up. Looks like he wants to get rid of that naval pressure. Not very happy with it. We have a cruiser out now for Haley as well. So Haley is a very dominant naval force at this time. By pulling this pressure on here as well, diverts the navies of both Matry and Tree Folk, which is going to allow, there we go, Willow to get back into the T2 game. And the T2 anywhere else, well there we go, we just have T2 for Lord Zerius. So he's up into the T2 naval game and starting out on a destroyer by the look of it. Pretty sure this destroyer got 4 of those plans. But it is the 4 plus T2 navy of Haley that's doing the business over here, and we see that there's T2 coming along for Rowan as well. So he's getting into the navy game, and it's going to be a bad time whilst these guys are trying to play catch up. These are all T1 factories. There's not an upgrade in sight for the weak link, and that could be problematic. Over here we see the single T1 factory for GBK. He needs to get his eco up. Needs to get some more build power out of there. Okay, he is working on his eco, I should say, finishing off another T2 P-Gen. After that, he should go T3. T2 lands, though I think T2 air might be useful. There we go. T2 air shift on there is just about done. Torpedo bombers will be incredibly useful. And speaking of torpedo bombers, there they are, but they are from Rowan. So even though they are currently winning the naval game, Rowan still pops out some torpedo bombs just to help, because why not? Any extra damage is extra damage, and it all helps in the end. It is a team game after all. Right hand side has managed to rebuild some. There are some engineers out doing the reclaim business, as they essentially do. Right, let's have a gander then. Let's have a count actually. What? 11 frigates, 8 subs and a destroyer. This is 4 frigates, although we have some tree. 12 frigates over there, but no T2. Basically all T1. And with T2 coming on out there, I saw a cruiser, there it is. You got a Salem, you got a cruiser, you got a second Salem totaling along. That is going to be bad times. Very, very tricksy naval force to try and take care of. So there was a mention of doing a torpedo comm, and Furnace Haley basically says exactly the right thing. I have no desire to go into the water. Doesn't want to turn the comm into a target basically, although having said that, they're in the water right now. Good evening, Iko. How are we doing? Nice to see you. I spotted your stream a little bit earlier today, so you're doing some artwork. Was that an elf in a bottle? Very interesting. Are you doing things people are asking you, or you're just doing things as you feel like? You see over here, Matry has split up his naval forces, looking to do a bit of raiding, a bit of harassing. Just wants to take down some structures, kill off some eco, just be generally annoying to the entire thing. He has got a destroyer mixed in with these guys over here. It's going to be a little bit of pressure to take things out, but there is a T2 sub of Willows. Like he's going subs all day, because that's another one coming up the production line. Trying to get some more power down. Some things there, and Lord Sirius has control Cade. Maybe they had to go, maybe they dropped, but either way, Tom is right there. And he explodes, he kills a bunch of engineers as you do, but all this eco has gone over to Rowan, which is a decent idea, because Rowan is the highest rated player. So he could probably use the extra eco pretty well, doing a prompt. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm impressed with just how easy you make drawing things look, particularly the hands and fingers. You're just like, do that, do that, do that. Hey, look, it's a hand. I would probably take like an hour to draw a hand, and it will still look terrible. Right up here we do have T2 Navy from the weak link. He is working on a destroyer. He's going to need it. Does have the 4 factories in front, but there are destroyers, plural, rolling up towards his base. They're backed up by a huge one of frigates, and of course the ever disgusting stealth ships, so you can't see what's coming to you. Very, very irritating. Even if he did have sonar, see, they're just not there. Let's see, down the bottom we have another push in from Matry. Just wanted to try and get some damage done. Has a couple of destroyers here doing some backup to the frigates. If he can get in and maybe knock off a couple of these T2 factories again, we have a grand old time. There's a lot of submarines though, and that's going to be a problem. Is he going to focus down the HQ? Is he going to bring his frigates over? Yes, he is. So he wants to try and shut down naval production yet again, but there are T2 RD, and that's a huge amount of torpedo damage. So many subs. There are T2 subs in the water after all. They have absolutely romped those destroyers out of existence, along with the assistance of a bunch of torpedo bombers. So bye-bye destroyers. Bye destroyers. And this is basically, yeah, I hear that. You know, both research and practice, you know, the more you do it, the better you get at it, but this is a problem. Navy is sitting right off the doorstep of GBK, and he's not really doing much to try and stop it, and as soon as that shield drops, these mass fabs are going to explode, and it's going to be an awful time for everything surrounding it. Engineers, mass extractors, mass storage. What happened to the Navy? Stop firing all of a sudden. That's bizarre. Did it fall back? It did. It got pushed by the weak link, so the weak link tried to save his teammate there, trying to get something on there, but the GBK needs to think about units. got a T2 HQ that's not doing anything there. Pop out some torpedo bombers, try and help out here, because right now this is really not a heck of a lot to stop all of this. Let me just say that is a problem for the pond there. And we see here Matry has been pushed back. He's no longer all up in the face of Willow trying to kill off factories. Not looking great in the water for there. So a quarter of the water is held by Team 1 comfortably. This part is contested, and the other half of the water is held by Team number 2. So Team 2 is looking the more dangerous of the bunch. Salem's here doing their thing, and what's that? Triads? No. Black, and then Triads. Okay, the Triads might be able to do something if they can see and kill. There's a mermaid here, which is a particular pain in the buttocks. There we go, Triads start opening up, but I can imagine these destroyers are going to move out of range, and or even there's going to be some cruisers back here having a tickle with their extremely long gunfire. But this T2HQ is about to go down. There's not anything the Weekly can do about it. He has nothing left in the water aside from a single destroyer trying to do great things against frigates, but he's not getting got a few kills, but there's not going to be much more it can do, and that HQ is going to go pop, and we're going to see the weak link be out of the water along with his teammate GBK. That's going to be problems. Now it's going to be a pond completely under control by Team 2, and that's not what you want on Stella Maris. That is a terrible thing. Up here we can see there are a bunch of T2ID from Mr. Treefolk. He has decided, I'm not going to get into Navy just right now, although he's got a few T1 factories just popping out units now and then. He's got a T2 factory back here, I take that back, but he's got some T2ID up here, which of course is going to help thin out numbers of anything that comes close. Up this way we can see GBK is having some issues. He is taking destroyer and cruiser fire to the face, and rather than moving away he is opting to stand very still, which is a very bad idea. And I don't think he has enough power to run all these shields. They are blinking on and off, and everything is dying horribly. Tries to walk away, which he's going to need to do because his base is going to be shredded very shortly by Salem's. Right up here we can see that the weak link was trying to do something. He is popping down some T2 artillery over here. He's going to want to get that shielded though, because these shots will come in from these guys and be a pain in the butt. Couple of hits on there, that's a lot of damage on that destroyer. Let's see if we can catch the next volley. I just want to see if those shells are going to manage to connect. We just have a quick look over there, firing away. Anytime now. Starting to shoot back at the T2 RD, I believe it has been noticed. We're going to see some counter shells. Oh, no. Not at this point, which is unusual because I'm sure they were ready to fire. They were. I don't know what they're trying to shoot at though. There's been a drop. We have seen Medusas dropped onto the island from Haley, and that's a pain in the butt. Those things do a lot of damage, but there is a single triad which is going to have a grand old time cleaning those up, and job complete. Yvonne Arty is out. But speaking of out of the water, there's Team 1 there, and that's another drop a little bit further away, so some more artillery coming on in. But there's a good strong push coming down this way from Matry and Treefolk, just wanting to do down here what was done up there, and then we could see a left versus right naval battle. Pond owned by one team, pond owned by the T2 Northers. So we've got some fighter bombs coming out. The question is, what is there to stop them? The answer is not very much. A couple of shields, there's a single T1 AA there, which is going to do very poorly against those, but they are heading on in. I think they're making a beeline for GBK, or maybe they're going for Eco, I don't know. Nope, there go the bombs, and they are looking to maybe take down the shield. This is a bad situation to be in. Navy off the coast, bombarding your everything. Northers coming on, and they've taken out one shield unit. The second one's about to go up just in time. Going to keep things alive a little bit longer, and this triad is so far the only thing slowing down production. Get a few more shots off, it can kill the factory, which will be incredibly helpful, just stopping Haley from owning this area. One more shot, and there we go. So we can't quite establish a beat just yet. This very efficient triad has happened a lot of times, but Noth is overhead and they're starting to take out eco. They're killing off power because why not? Doing their thing up here. The T2RD battery has been destroyed. Navy turned around, focused on it, and it's awful. Checking out the other side of things though, and oh my word, there's a lot of torpedo bombers. So they are very desperate to not lose Navy in this pond, but the problem with that is I think they're about to. Plenty of destroyers. There are a couple of cruisers back here. Their flak is going to tear the... Oh no, they're not. They do get a number of kills, but the cruisers go down and the torpedo bombers now have free reign to do as they wish. There's plenty of interceptors around to slow down any kind of air defense, but the factories are gone. Might as well just rush on in and knock that off. So we are looking at a left versus right naval game. Left pond is held by team number 2, right pond is held by team number 1, and there is not a heck of a lot left of GBK's base. Ah, that's painful. 90% upgraded T2 factory towards T3. That's not going to survive. I mean, I'd say so many resources lost, but honestly, he's lost basically everything. His base is in tatters. He's got a couple of T3 Max extractors still alive up here. A few engineers, but they're not going to have much left to do, especially when this factory goes pop, which we'll see in any second now. Any second now. You don't leave that alive. Oh my word. Is it actually going to complete? It actually completes, suddenly gets a whole lot more health. And what happened to the Navy? They have moved away. The Navy has moved away, did not finish off the HQ, and it is now T3. Not that it's going to help GBK that much, because, well, it's basically half dead and land isn't going to do much against the Navy. And now the forces have turned back up and they're going to start shooting things down. Also, the rounds are impacting on the build section, so anything that's getting built is getting damaged and not completing. There we go. T3 HQ is a goner. Let's check out the other side of things and trying to get back into the Navy, because you might as well. I'm certainly trying to get back into the Navy, but some more destroyers turn up, and that is the end of those factories there. Nothing doing on the right hand side. Lots of frigates, few destroyers, and they are now attacking the resources of Rowan. Rowan has some T2RD over here, which is going to be of assistance trying to defend out and clean this up, but he really needs some naval help for this starts overwhelming what he has got. There's an exposed T2 power generator. You don't want to lose that, but you also don't want to lose your T3 mass extractor. That's a goner, stuck on the edge, and it gets mowed down by a well, there were 4 destroyers, now there's only 3 because of a couple of shells from some T2RD over here having a grand old time. But with what they've done here, there's been much worse has happened over here. These 2 bases are absolutely devastated. There's only a couple of mixers left right at the back, and trying to get some more power up because they need it. And we have engineers dropped here by Haley, popping down some factories and going to look at probably grabbing as much reclaim as possible, and maybe doing some harassment. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 factories planned in total, and if they start popping out a swarm of T1RT, it's going to be able to murderfy basically everything around there. So that top left corner is looking very, very precarious. Question is, can they survive? We have T3 air, so tree focus T3 air, that is very helpful for trying to clean up those nasty T2 torpedo bombers. And now we have a push of Navy out to the left, so wanting to try to get back into this pond, but this very, very stubborn resistance is going to slow these guys down. Nice little fight, plenty of boats, plenty of things dead in the water. A lot going on. All sorts of things. The T2RD also getting some shots away, doing a bit of extra damage, but there's just so much fire. 2 navies having to go to each other. Times. Right, down here though, some destroyers have simply parked up just to say no to everything. And they're now doing to these bases what was done to the top left bases up there. We have some cruisers back here. Those are going to be very, very irritating with their attack missiles. As you can see, those are going to lob on over and start killing off swing range. And terrain doesn't stop attacks that well. Light destroyers shooting at all of the grounds, above the ground. The cruisers back here are making a difference with the attack missiles. Up here we can see that, well, the naval push to try and regain territory has failed. Treefolk has lost most of his units, now has to fall back. There is a swarm, absolute swarm of torpedo bombers coming in, and they are focusing down the cruisers first, but they do not kill all of them. And there's more in the mix back here anyway. And some ASF have come out from Rowan, so he's in the T3 air game as well. And that is going to be basically it for that little wee push. And hello, we mentioned the T1 RT is good to go, but they have been... oh, this is grand. You've got T1 RT with little wee mech rings running between them fighting away. Of course, T1 RT is going to have a very terrible time trying to hit those guys, and they are very fast, very nimble, and they'll be able to clean up those T1 RT quite happily. With the addition of a couple of tries back here, those will outrange T1 RT and kill them off all day. But there is a cruiser off the coast. It's going to help kill things off, but now we see these little wee guys and they are saying no to artillery. Simply running on through, causing mayhem. Going to put on tracking just so we can watch this guy as he runs around. Look at him go. Machine guns, one on each arm. It'll be tiny Dakar. Although I think he's run into trouble. Yes, he has. Ran into trouble in the form of Mantis. So Mantis come out and those will absolutely dominate these poor little guys. But they, in turn, they took care of the Labs OP, please nerf. They're very OP when it comes to T1 RT. They're very good at killing those off, but not so much with Mantis. And say come in huge numbers, all the Mantis run into some T1 PD up here and get motivated. Another mid-battle, looks like Navy versus Navy, plenty of T2 on both sides, although we have T2 RT from Treefolk slinging on over. Then we have a whole line of T2 RT here from Rowan, so anything that tries to get through this midpoint is going to get extra damage, and that is a battleship. That is going to be a problem. That is Treefolk into T3 Navy, although we do have T3 Navy down here for Haley as well, and that's a battleship coming off the line for them. So both in the T3 Navy game, that keeps things a little bit even, though we have T3 from Matry as well, and yes, I did see another battleship as well as an aircraft carrier. So that's going to be problematic at the best. Right, cruisers doing cruisery things. As soon as they can break that shield down, there's going to be some serious problems over here. They can knock off the TMD before it happens. There we go, that's gone. The artillery's going to go down, maybe followed by the TMD. My missiles on that, and it is Doomsville. Engineers are doing a cleanup job. There's another torpedo bomber coming out, not sure what it's going to do there. But yeah, so bottom right has had the same treatment as the top left. Navy off the coast, absolutely bombarding everything and causing issues. Triad creep, so PD creep with triads, why not? You kind of want to get in and hello, a Ravager. That's going to really help eat up damage there. And we can see the land factories are not going to have a great time trying to repel that. Lab still milling around. Things. Alright, up here we can see the Navy T2 is basically all but gone. For Treefolk, he's got a bunch of frigates, a few destroyers there, but he does have the battleships loitering behind, and that's a harm. That's going to be a pain in the butt. Massive pain to deal with. Harms, of course, underwater, they don't really get auto-targeted by T2 RT, and they have incredible range. It can only be hit by torpedoes, or you could ground fire a battleship, but now there's 1, 2, 3 battleships out for Team 1. The aircraft carrier probably wants to think about being somewhere else right now. down to 7,200. Is just about a quarter dead from being just a little bit too close to these T2RD. Still just the one battleship. Don't see any others, although there's T3 now for Rowan, so he's getting into that. Maltesan, good evening. Haven't seen any Ilships this game. No surprise, there isn't really much, and that is Nawasa. That is actually, what, 3/5 stun? Indeed, that is 3/5 stun on Wassa. If that gets up, it's going to be a terribly bad time. Though those are ASFs. Have they been spotted? Have they spotted the Awassa? Are they going for it? Well, the answer is a solid yes, maybe. I don't know. That's an airfight directly over the Awassa. The Awassa will take damage, of course. The ASFs will primary that, even though it's on the ground. And this could be an air loss for Tree Folk. Although if the Awassa goes down, it's going to be a bigger loss for Rowan. And the Awassa does go down. But air is 100% handed over. Rowan, well, actually, having said that, it seems like Tree Folk has a lot more assets than I thought he did. And now with the Awassa dead, that's a reclaim. They decided to maybe reclaim it instead of rebuild it on the same spot. A wise idea. You wouldn't want to try and rebuild where it just died, and they're going to try and build it back further back that way. But the naval game is not going so great. A bunch of T2 subs are causing issues there. The harms are doing their extreme range thing. Battleships, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 battleships off the coast of poor Rowan's base, and they're getting absolutely bashed in by those shells. Rowan's comm itself is trying to get away. It doesn't want to be loitering around there, and it's looking bad news. Top left has had a chance to re-establish itself. There's a couple of Ravagers. They're going to shoo things away. A bunch of Triads going to kill anything that comes up, and we see that the weak link has moved out and picked up the mixes there. But this kind of thing, when you can afford to just roll a battleship in just to scout with the battleship, see what's going on. It does die, of course, because it's not going to last. Facing up against all of this, there are 3 battleships, a bunch of cruisers, a swarm of frigates, and a few destroyers in the mix, and that's a battleship that's going to have a bad time. Down under half health without much gain at all, but this is the bigger problem. The battleships off the coast this way, and they actually outrange T2RD, if I remember correctly, or it's at least the same range. Give me a moment. We have a look, and its main cannon range is direct fire damage 600, DVS 150, range 128. We have a look at the T2RD. It has a range, okay, so same range, 128 for both. Same range for both. Oh my. This is just so much in the water right now, and this is constant pressure coming over from Tree Folk. Really, they needed something, and that Awassa would have been that something which would have absolutely turned the game, but unfortunately it died. And starting up another one here. It is about a quarter done, just tips into the yellow as we look at it, so 1/4 complete. It's going up pretty fast as well. That thing will make a massive difference if it gets into the skies. But is this more ASFs? It is more ASF coming over from Tree Folk, just being extra annoying. There they go. And Tree Folk says, you didn't learn, did you? Well, he did exactly the same thing to this Awassa here. Threw some ASF at it and it died. This one's going to survive maybe because these air rounds, not much left of it though. And I think that's a reclaim. I think that's a reclaim. No, it was still taking damage from something. And now it's rebooted, but hello. What's this? These are Rambo comms, a couple of Cybran Rambo comms complete with the EMP stun on their shots. They're coming to say g'day. They're going to have a grand old time on the ground because there's not much there to stop them. It really isn't, not even any gunships or anything. And they're going to have some fun and go for a walk in the Navy, in the water. Dear oh dear. The pressure is just constant and it is getting closer and closer. That is a huge bank of harms. 5 harms in the water. Those are going to demolish all sorts of things get close, such as this battleship. Going to take a huge amount of damage. Look at the torpedoes just coming on in, and look at the health just drop off that damn thing. Ooh, you don't want to get close to that. Right, we had a T2 torpedo swarm. What are they going for is the question. Well, if they went for the SACUs, that'd be a good idea. In fact, they are. I think we're seeing torpedoes down onto that, although now they're just moving on past. They are, of course, getting shot out of the sky. There was some anti-air being fired from somewhere. Might have just been a battleship, so maybe not. There's some ACFs turn up from Treefolk, and that is causing extra issues. And hello. Rambo comms are trying to do the thing. Of course, they stun everything they shoot, so despite the T2PD trying to have a go at them, they get stunned, they stop firing, and that is just painful. Although with shields up now, that's going to suggest maybe they don't want to loiter. As soon as everything comes off, their health is going to melt from the large number of T2PD there. Look at that, down 6,000 health left. Some Corsairs overhead from Haley, and these guys now have to move out of the way. They don't have anything for the air, but another pair of Rambo comms coming up this way. They can kill stuff, or they could reclaim stuff. Who knows? What are we down to? We could see one of them die. 3,000 health. That's a lot of regen, actually. Having said that, that's a massive amount of regen. It is very difficult to kill like that. In the water again, more pressure coming over, and this is actually Willows has brought his comm over. Jumps in the water, just going to throw down some harms of his own. Perhaps they can help tip the balance here. Maybe stem the tide for a bit and just give an assistance to that side of thing. But down here, this Rambo comm is back up to 7,000 health. It's just not going to die. And we see Rowan has got issues. Nothing on the ground to stop these, and Naval bombardment as well. His commander is on a runaway mission, because running away is about all he has, and it's a shame. The third time he's tried to build an Awasa, and it was pretty close, but he is gone from the game. I think it was yes, Control K. His commander hit plenty of health, but his base was in absolute tatters, and the Rambo comms are going to have a grand old time. Look at this, they are basically ignoring the Corsairs, and the health is going up. That is ridiculous. A wee bit of an ass to keep some health, and where they go, then they can stop and slap up a SAM, which is going to cause even more issues for these poor Corsairs. Nuke was being made. Not a bad shout. A nuke launcher could have done the damage. Might be able to get over and do some work. Down here we can see Willow is in the water. Is getting focused now by destroyers and submarines. And it's not good for a commander. Who would have thought that torpedoes were bad for a commander? So the torps are actually going for something else now by the look of it, so that's okay. But these guys are now right the way up. And we're going to see pain. Extra pain. That stun is just OP. Hello, that's Haley's comm. I think he went over there. I think that was a mistake. I don't think he means to be walking into Rambo comms, because unless you got the microwave laser on your chest, that's a terrible idea. Nowhere near as much health, nowhere near as much damage output. It does have overcharge, that could help a great deal, but who was going to kill this one? Overcharge is grand. Oh, 6,500 health on Treefolk's comm there. Willow dies to, well, basically so much in the water from Treefolk, and this just murdered there in the water. He's dead. And speaking of maybe about to die, it is, well, these pigeons go down. That's going to be a huge problem for Haley. In fact, they do pop, shield goes pop. The SMD is alive and loaded, but I don't even know if there's a nuke on the other team. And these two things, look at them. They're just ignoring the Corsairs, killing stuff. And Haley is coming back on over, but I don't know if he's got the energy to run overcharge. Trying to catch him with his comm. And there we go, he has finally gotten range. We're going to see some overcharges popping on out. The question, answer is maybe. But look at the health just disappear from their comm. Rambo commanders are simply not anything to be shrugged off. They are quite tough, especially with these stun, especially with the regen. Look at these guys. Happy amongst themselves, just wandering around. And these two back here, oh, they decided to set up a base. Because why not? Because they can. But there we have it. So